This is another wonderful weekly review, and it's funny how waiting for extra confirmation will make you to miss out on good trades. So let me show you what this week really did and the lessons learned from this week market. So first I'll be starting off with GPP card. You can see GPP card on the weekly time frame. We're bullish on the weekly time frame. You see it's loading. So we are also we are bullish on the weekly time frame. This is the higher high and this is the higher low. So price retraced back to this area of interest. So I was looking to buy, and you see on the daily time frame also we are also bullish on the daily time frame with multiple candle rejection at this zone here. So immediately we have this candle and we have this engulfing candle on Wednesday. So now move down to the forward time frame. You see that the forward time frame shifted structure. Although during my weekly analysis it was like this, lower low. So I'm waiting for the push, the retest of this zone to give me a clear entry signal on the lower time frame. But the lower time frame did not give me a clear signal here. So that is why I did not take it here. So, and I waited for it. This was the lower low, lower high. So lower high, lower low, higher high, higher low. So immediately we have this higher high. You also shifted structure on the lower time frame. So now when I went down to the 1 hour time frame, you see the 1 hour time frame give a shift of structure. So on this pullback, we have this engulfing candle. But the reason I did not take this trade, was because price was coming from the down. So this place can serve as resistance. You understand? So I was waiting for price to break above to give me a clean rejection and engulfing candle here before I take the trade to the upside, which price actually did, but did not give me a clean engulfing candle around here. Rather, I wicked at my area of interest and push to the upside. And I can't, if I should take the trade from here, it wouldn't have worth my risk to reward. So that is why I did not chase the trade. So I just let it ride. And the lessons I learned from here, before that, let me show you also on the 30-minute time frame. 30-minute time frame, you see it was higher high. On this pullback, it now shifted structure to bearish, lower high, lower low. On this shift, it shifted structure again, bullish, come down again, shifted structure, bearish, bullish, come down again, retest here, and this is the engulfing candle, indicating that buyers are in the market. But I can't chase the trade up here, so it's too far, and my risk reward will not worth it. So that is why I do not take the trade. So but the lessons learned on this trade is that if I had broke down my area of interest a little bit, even something like this, you can see I should bring it down a little bit, even something like this, you see, which is here we have one rejection, here we have second rejection, and if we move down we have third rejection. Now before I'll be interested in taking any trade on my area of interest, we need to have clear minimum of 3 rejection. So if my area of interest would have been like this, then on the 4-hour time frame, you see that price will have a break. That minor break would have meant a lot. We have the break, we know that okay, buyers are in the market. So we have the push, clean money star formation, rejection candle. Then I would have entered here, then my stop loss will be exactly where it's supposed to be. Then I'll now target 1:2. You understand? So even if we go down to the 1 hour time frame, you see that 1 hour time frame broke above. This minor broke would have given me confidence to enter the trade after this engulfing candle. You understand? But because my area of interest was kind of wide, that is why I did not take it, because the shift of structure happened inside my area of interest. So that is why I did not take this trade and I missed it. So no issue, lessons learned. So because there will be more setup this coming week. So you see, I missed it, I did not take it. So because I did not take it, I have to delete the risk to reward. Okay, so we are still bullish. So we're still bullish, but I did not take it, so I just have to delete the reward, risk to reward. So moving on to GBP USD. So GBP USD is another interesting trade. You see, we were bearish. This was the lower low and this was the lower high. So last week we have this ginormous engulfing candle giving us a evening star formation. So what I was waiting for, I told you guys I was waiting for the more of the week retest, then the continuation sell to the downside, and that did not happen. So what happened was, if you go down to the daily time frame, you see that the daily time frame actually have the minor retests. This week retest here, you see it was on Monday. We have the minor retest and we have the push to the downside. So but that is not the kind of retest I want. I need a body retest like this to come and close inside here. So although on Wednesday we have the ginormous bullish engulfing candle, so when we came down here, so I'm waiting for a daily rejection candle like this, more like a doji like this, to form here before I'll be interested in this trade. But during when this candle formed, it actually came down here as bearish candle. So let me remove this risk to reward so my explanation will be clear. It actually came down here as bullish candle, you understand, as bearish candle. So when it was forming there on the 30-minute time frame, it gave me an entry signal. It gave me a clean entry signal, you see. So you see when it was approaching here, you see bullish, higher high, then now shifted lower low. So on this candle here, this bearish candle, that is where I wanted to enter this trade. You get? So immediately I placed the trade. I just wanted to enter this trade here because everything I'm looking for is almost everything I'm looking for has presented itself here. You get on this bearish engulfing, because we already have the shift of structure, we already have the pullback, we already have the engulfing. So that is what I want. So immediately I wanted to place a sell on my MT5. So I now went down to the daily time frame and asked myself one question. And the question was, this engulfing candle is not showing slowdown yet, and I actually wanted the daily time frame to give me a rejection candle like this here to happen here, so that I'll be sure that okay, this zone now, the sellers are holding the price and are ready to push up high. I have more high probability of pushing the price down. So that question alone made me not to take the trade at that zone. So that is why immediately I just decided not to take the trade and started pushing up without even thinking twice. You see? So immediately started pushing up, came down, show as if you want to start selling, and violated it. So this one too, loss avoided, technical loss avoided. You get, using my checklist. So the next pair is USD. So USD on the weekly time frame. We are bullish on the weekly time frame. This is the higher high, this is the higher low. Although I wanted price to have a week retest of this zone, to have a week retest like this, then this candle now will now continue the buy on the lower time frame. You get? So on the weekly time frame, to just be like a week retest, just like this, to retest here. Then on the daily time frame, it will be structure. Get the structure, pull back to that zone and give me a clean rejection over here before I take the trade to the upside. So, but on this pullback now, the pullback actually happened here. You get, see this candle, it happened here. This is Monday candle. It was there before, so immediately Monday candle opened, it came back here, retest here, and have the push to the upside. You get, so if we go down to the 4-hour time frame, I'll come back to the daily time frame. So let me show you. So if we go back to the 4-hour time frame, that is the weak pullback that happened on the daily time frame. So we now have multiple rejection here. We have the push to the upside, which is also good. It's also a good trade. A quick 1:2 risk to reward, but I did not take it because I actually was not waiting for, I'm not yet ready to be taking trade on that kind of retest on the 4-hour time frame. Then you have the push to the upside. So I have to build my foundation first, and my foundation is to make sure that we have a body retest that will come back here, stop here, then give me rejection before I take the trade to the upside, which on Wednesday price actually retested, came back here. But for me to wait for that daily rejection candle, because of that made me to avoid this loss. You get, I waited for daily. When it pulled back here, and I say, okay, good, that is what I want. So I now waited for a normal rejection like this, more like a doji rejection around here. Then the next day, which is Friday, then I'll now enter the trade and probably hold throughout this weekend. But when price came here, it violated this place and came down here to create, to shift structure. So right now, this time frame now is bearish. This is the lower low. So this one is the lower low. And this is now the lower high. So daily time frame now is bearish. Okay, is bearish. Also with the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. So let me delete this reward because I did not take the trade. This one is also bearish. Now delete this one also. So during my analysis, I will know if I'll be interested in this trade this next week or not. Okay, so moving on to GBP AUD. So GBP AUD on the weekly time frame, you can see that the weekly time frame is bearish on the weekly time frame. Okay, and last week we have a ginormous bearish engulfing candle, more like an evening star. So I was waiting for a weak pullback. I was waiting for pullback, a little more weak pullback here to continue the trade to the downside. Okay, from here to the downside. So if we go down to the daily time frame, you see that the daily time frame, I'm waiting for pullback here, rejection candle to take the trade to the downside. Our price violated here and broke this zone to this other zone. You can see this is another strong zone. Whenever we are above, we serve as support. Whenever we are above, we serve as support. You can see whenever we are under, we serve our resistance. Whenever we're under, we serve our resistance. Whenever we are above, we serve our support, resistance, and so on. So it's a very strong zone. So although I'm waiting for more like more rejection from here, we actually have the stop. But if we go down to the lower time frame, the lower time frame shifter structure was very close to this area of interest. You get, it was very close and close. So I wouldn't have taken the trade because it was very close to the area of interest. Okay, you see, this was the higher high, higher high, higher low. So if we have this structure, we have um we have bearish, we have this structure in lower time frame, which is 1 hour. We have this pullback, this bearish engulfing happened where I can still take the trade, which is a good trade. But the only question I ask myself, then my SL will now be above this zone, 66 pips, but because of it was close to this area of interest, which is a very strong zone, can serve as support, which is exactly what happened. If that would have been below something like this, if this area of interest would have been around here, I would have taken it. So there will not be reason for this push to happen. So because of that, do not take the trade. Also, if you go down to the 30-minute time frame, the 30-minute time frame, you can also see it was the higher high, higher low. So immediately this candle body closed below here, so it became the lower low. So on this pullback, clean evening star formation, then to enter to continue the sell, but because of this zone, so that is why I did not take it. And behold, price came back to more like inside of 25% into the stop loss, but I did not take this trade. Okay, so another loss avoided. Okay, and it's a clean trade, simple and clean trade. So the next one is AUDNZD. So AUDNZD is a very interesting trade. Very interesting trade. Very interesting trade. You see, on the weekly time frame, we are bearish on the weekly time frame. You can see it was the lower low, this was the lower low, and this was the lower high. Okay, so you see what happened here. We have the push upper week, and this week we now have the push again to create a new, we still the same lower low leg. Okay, but on the daily time frame is a very clean structure, very clean structure. Get, this is my trade here. We have the break, the retest, sell. Okay, so what am I looking for again? I'm waiting for, we almost have the break. Once you have the retest again, we sell. You get pro trend trade, simple. So but when we have this retest, you see, when we have this retest on the lower time frame, no, not 2 hour, 1 hour, is it 1 hour? Yes, you see, 1 hour. Okay, so this is 1 hour. Yes, okay. So you see, so we are bullish, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher high. See, this is the same higher high because we did not bought the candle close above this zone. So it's only when we bought the candle close up below this zone, sorry, it's only bought the candle close below this zone. It's only when we bought the candle close below this zone that will now shift structure. You get, so immediately this candle, this bearish candle, but the candle close, we now have a shift of structure. So on this pullback, this is a clean engulfing candle, enter here, then stop loss above this zone. Also you get, above this zone, this is where I would have placed my stop loss. You get, above this zone, or it can still be something here like this. You get, anyway, it's still valid, either here or here. That's what I would have placed my stop loss. Okay, but the reason I did not take this trade was because it was not up to B setup, it was C setup. You get, it was C setup. After grading my trade, it was C setup. Before I take any trade, it must be from B setup, B setup, B plus, A setup, or A plus setup. That is the only trade I take for now. Understand? Because I'm building my foundation now, so that I'll be able to understand the difference of the setup and the one that have high probability, low risks, and high risks. Okay, so that is why I did not take the trade here on the trade after grading it. That is why and I missed out on this beautiful 1:4 risks to reward. Okay, before I did not take this, before I decided to leave this trade, no, 1:2.8 risk to reward. When I decided not to take the trade, my intuition told me that this trade will have the push to the downside, because it's a very clean trade and I have almost everything I needed, but I don't want to destroy my foundation, so that is why I did not take the trade. Okay, so moving on to Euro GPP. So Euro GPP on the weekly time frame, we are bearish on the weekly time frame, so I wanted to have the sell, the buy on the lower time frame. I wanted this week candle to have a week retest there, so that I'll now have the push to the upside. So on that week retest on the daily time frame, it will be creating a potential higher low, you get, because we were bearish here, so we now broke structure. So I was expecting a deeper, this was on Friday candle, so I was expecting this Monday candle to come down here, close here, give me rejection candle, then I'll take the trade to the upside. But price never came down here, so rather I continue pushing to the upside. So towards the middle of the week and the ending of the week, started having the retracement back to the downside. So although this retracement is, I don't know, so this week I might take it, next week I might not, so depending on what market will do at this zone here. Okay, so this one, you see, I actually stated it here that it's high risk trade because I'm trading against the higher time frame. I'm trading the pullback of the weekly time frame. Okay, so before, if weekly time frame should get to this zone, I'm trading the pullback, someone will get to this place. So on the daily time frame will now shift structure like this, bearish, have a pullback, then I'll continue the sell to the downside. Although I might not put my take profit, I'll put it here. So if you break here, maybe if I close here, then I'll wait for something like this again before I'll now take out this low. Okay, so that is that on Euro GPP. So last but not the least is CAD JPY. So CAD JPY on the weekly time frame, consider the weekly time frame. The weekly time frame is bullish on the weekly time frame. This was the higher high, higher low. Okay, so I'm waiting for week pullback, something like this. So I have a week, so that will continue the buy to the upside. Okay, so when we go down to the daily time frame, the daily time frame is clearly bullish, and we have daily time frame is clearly bullish. You get this trade also, I actually learned something from here. Okay, so I will give a little more of a class here. Get, so this is what market did: higher high, higher low. Okay, higher high, higher low. So this is a higher high, this is a higher low, and anticipating to create a new higher high. So although you can see my take profit is not above the zone, it's just in here because of this resistance zone. Okay, so now this is what this trade actually gave me everything I needed, you get, except one thing also. Okay, because it's a good trade. Let me show you where I would have entered. I actually saw it, but I purposely did not enter. This is 30 minutes now, it's not clear here. Okay, you see, this is where I would have entered. Let me delete this first. This is what I've entered. So On the pullback, you know, we're creating bearish structure on the pullback. Okay, so we have, this is the lower low, this is lower high. So we now pull back here. You see we came down here. You see this bearish candle, the body closed below this candle to form a new lower low. Okay, to form a new lower low here. You get, so we now shifted structure to form a new lower low. So immediately this one body close above here to form a new lower low. So this one now body close above here, shifted structure, higher high. No, sorry, let me come again, let me explain again. So when we're coming down, this is how I mark my structure. This is the lower low, lower high. This is market structure. You get, we have the push to the upside, we come down again. So this is the shift of structure, and this is the pullback, and this is my entry signal here, this bullish candle. You get, so let me zoom it very well. You get, this is how I make my structure. You get here, here, this is the shift of structure. You get, this is the lower low, and this is the lower high. So immediately this candle body close above here, so this candle became the higher high, higher low, engulfing candle. This is why I would have entered the trade here, and I would have gotten a quick 1:4. You get long, so maybe immediately I enter here, then my stop loss would be, we have, this is 8.2 pip. I'll now add more like 10 pip here. Ideally would have been 18 pip, but because of how distant the thing is, I would have placed it here or place it something here. Okay, so that is what I would have done. Then I would have target this high. I'll target this high in the daily time frame. Okay, so I would have target that high on the daily time frame here. Now taking my profits here before this Friday candle, and no, this Wednesday, you know, it was Thursday, before this Thursday candle violated everything. You get, before JPY now violated everything. Okay, I would have taken my profit here, something like this, 1:3 or 1:2. So that is what market did this week, and behold, I missed all of this trade. Okay, sorry, why I did not take this trade was because, again, when grading the trade, there's something I called the retest of the previous structure points. You get, of the previous structure points. So if you look at this market now, where is the previous structure point? This is the previous structure point. You get, when the market was still higher high. It's still higher high, higher low. You get, so if it's coming back to retest of this previous structure point before we have the push to the upside. But because the candlestick did not come down here, and I've not actually done some of my research to know if this one is actually retesting it or not. Okay, so immediately I missed the trade, and now came back and analyze and also learn more about the retest of the previous structure point, and behold, this is a valid retest. We have the break, we have the retest of the previous structure point before we have the push to the upside. Okay, it's just an added confluence to my list, and because I did not add it, it made this trade to be C setup. So if I had added it, it would have been B plus or B setup, and I would have more confidence of taking the trade to the upside. So that is that, and that is why I did not take the trade. So this week market is so interesting, and if you enjoyed this and if you want me to continue doing this, please like, share and comment, and if you want us to grow together, you let me know in the comment section. So thank you very much.